There we go.
Hey Sharon, this is Todd. Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not, what the heck, scroll down, disable screen. So you have a hard copy of this report in the agenda packet. And the statutory requirement for this body is to convene an annual meeting and review what's called the DOR Form PE 300, which we include at the end of the report. This is a really exciting form for those that are familiar with it. It's basically a statement of revenues and expenditures for the last year, which really doesn't tell you a whole lot. So what we prepare as the village's financial advisor is an updated forecast. So it's got all the historical information and also shows you where you're going, which is really what this body is most interested in. So I'm going to skip after the first couple pages of narrative. There's kind of an accounting there of what's happened in terms of development that has occurred within the tax increment district since it was created a number of years ago. We include a map. So this is again the Salem Business Park located on the north side of County Highway C or 116th Street. This is the original TID plan map, so it showed the two undeveloped parcels into which infrastructure was subsequently extended to create the various lots for the park. So the next page in the spreadsheet exhibit is an accounting of the incremental value that has occurred in the actual column. What this indicates is that of January 1st of this year, there was a little over $31 million in new value that has been created within the district as a result of the various building projects. The 2023 construction year line, if you track that across, a project that has been completed or will be completed is Keen Edge with an estimated value of $3,750,000. The reason you see the negative numbers is we're taking a very conservative approach because some or all of the properties within this being industrial in nature can be state assessed manufacturing. The state assesses properties a bit different than the local assessor does in that they assign a depreciation or an obsolescence factor. So in other words, if you've got a state assessed manufacturing building that's put up in a business park and absent any new investment, what will happen is over time that value will actually go down. So again, just to be conservative, we're assuming that we will see property loss rather than gain. So we can see what that does to the cash flow. And in this case, we're in really good shape. So it doesn't make a big difference. We take that value added both on a historical and a projected basis onto the next exhibit and layer it into this column. And what this shows us then in the far right green column is the amount of tax increment that has been collected or is projected to be collected. So again, these are the actual dollars that flow into the TID Special Revenue Fund that are used to pay the project costs. There's a construction year, a valuation year, and a revenue year because there's a 2-year lag between when something is built. By the time it's then valued, the tax bill goes out, and then it's collected for the budget year. If this district remains open for its entire 20-year life on a projected basis, we will collect about $9.6 million in total revenue. The important or most important page then is the cash flow where everything comes together. If I can find my minus sign on this display, so I'll just kind of move this to left to right so we can talk about each piece of this. So on the left-hand side, we've got the revenue, primarily the tax increments that are coming in. Again, that's at 9.6 million in the far left column. We have some actual miscellaneous revenues that we've recorded based on the audited financial statements. A couple other things I will point out is CABA made an initial $1.6 million investment into the business park. So they put forward this capital that was applied towards the cost of the infrastructure. This was in addition to their outlay for the purchase of the land. The village in 2015 borrowed $4.5 million. That's at bond proceeds that are coming in to finance the balance of the infrastructure. You'll see that in 2018, you see a similar number of 4.6. What that is a refinancing transaction. So we borrowed the money on a shorter term basis, used it to pay for the cost, and then converted that into long-term bonds in 2018. So as we start to look at the expenses, here's again that short-term borrowing, the $4.5 million done in 2015. And then here is the refinancing done in 2018. So we've been paying that debt service for the last 4 years. You'll notice that in the year 2030, I show a large lump sum payment. The reason for that is at that point in time, we are projecting that we will have enough revenue in the TID fund balance in order to pay off those bonds early. And there is a flow of funds associated with the development agreement, and that's what these numbered circles apply to. That's basically the order in which things get paid from the tax increment that is generated. So first we pay the administrative costs, which are nominal, and then we pay the village's debt first. There's a couple other things that really aren't in play at this point, number 3 and 4. Number 5 is a $500,000 outlay towards water treatment. But then only after that's paid and we build up that debt service reserve, which is number 6, we start to pay back CABA for that $1.6 million investment that they made at a 4% interest rate. Now, if we look back at the prior year's reports, it showed CABA really not recovering much, if any, of that 1.6 million in investment. So we're now at a point where there's been enough development in the park that we are projecting that CABA will receive the entirety of that 1.4 million plus interest. And that's the numbers that you see right here in the payments column. So it'll be several years yet before there's an ability to start making payments, but we do show a total of 3.1 million being returned to CABA on that investment, which would be a full satisfaction of their investment plus the interest. So when we look at this from a fund balance standpoint, this would be your number here in this cumulative column. We did dip below positive fund balance briefly. This was due to capital expenditures related to the water project, but we are expecting that by the end of next year, that will return to a positive fund balance and again begins to build because we don't, again, pay other liabilities until we've accumulated enough revenue to pay off those village bonds in the year 2030. And then the remaining dollars again go to pay out CABA and satisfy that obligation. So all in all, the park is in great shape. It's taken some years to get here, but at this point in time, everything looks great in terms of where the village sits with this district. And I am happy to answer any questions.
That lump sum payment in the future when there's sufficient funds, are the bonds callable at that point?
They are. So if you look at that red kind of hatched box on that debt schedule, that indicates the bonds that can be prepaid. That happens in 2026. That's the call date.
If that's a long ways away and interest rates are uncertain, but with a 4% bond rate and investment rates where they are right now, would it make sense to pay off early or let those funds sit collecting interest?
As a practical matter, we can do a partial redemption. So in other words, if we had enough to pay off that 240,000, which we would in 2027, we could just start calling bonds as we have cash. For modeling purposes, we just show it as if we're paying it off all at once, but the village does have that ability.
Thank you.
Just a question. I'm not sure if you have an answer, if someone in the room has the answer. So this new business Keene went into effect this year. Are there future plans? Are there other things that are expected to happen in the next year or so? Or is it still just uncertain?
We've had some interest expressed by individuals or companies, but there's nothing really hot right now.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Number 3, approve resolution acknowledging filing of annual report and compliance with annual meeting requirements. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great, motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
wait, Chairman.
Oh.
Chairperson. Two things. One, I didn't hear Sharon's response.
Oh,
She nodded yes. Oh, she did. Okay, and then Sharon, I do have one other question. We didn't hear you when we voted for the chairperson and the public member. Are you in agreement with President Bucher as the chairperson?
Yes, I couldn't hear any sound in the room.
Yeah, I think it was technical difficulties there. And then the second motion was to nominate Vicky Galich for the public member. Okay, I just wanted to have your vote on record. Thank you.
okay, great. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great, we're